Hi friends, welcome to Seeking Life, a channel dedicated to discovering a life worth living. My name is Madison, and welcome if you're new, and welcome back if this is not your first time here. Today, they are doing a lot of maintenance at the park, so I'm going to try to get away from the loud noises of the tree cutting. And today I kind of want to talk about why we should stop judging each other by our covers. Meaning, we need to stop judging each other based on our avatars or our bodies. Because something I've learned recently, well, over the past several years, is that number one, we are not our bodies. We are our soul who is living inside of our bodies. So that means that our bodies are just a vessel for us to enjoy life and to move throughout this three-dimensional world that we live in. And, with that knowledge, number one, that means that, we have multiple lives. It means that we don't die when our body dies. This means that our body died. So there's that, but also, people have made decisions for their bodies that other people just cannot comprehend, and people will judge you for it. I'm going to take the video off my face and just show you all the scenery from here and keep talking, okay? So, I know that there's people within the past, 6 to 10 years who used to be one way and now they're another. For example, with myself, well, I was going to say, there was a lot of people that are stopping to drink alcohol. There's a lot of people who are stopping taking drugs. People are turning away from the things that are bad for them, and they are, turning to other substances like cannabis, or they are turning to God in whatever form that looks like. And they are giving their lives back to God and trying to, live a more godly aligned life away from drugs or alcohol. Or in my case, I don't like talking about this because I don't want to be identified this way on the channel. I just want to be seen as a human. But, I have mentioned it once in a video before, but I used to align with the Democrat Party until around 2020, when I realized that somewhere between Barack Obama's presidency and 2020, the left was completely unrecognizable to me. I didn't agree with 85% of what they were doing, and the more and more that time went on, the more and more it didn't make sense for me to align with that side of the spectrum. So I left the party in 2020, and for a while there I identified as a Republican. And then now I just kind of don't participate. But during this time, specifically 2010, I had come to the realization that my soul was not male, and that I had to stop pretending to be a dude, or trying to be a dude. So I was going to therapy. I did that for about 5 years, and I had told my girlfriend at the time, and she said, as long as you don't do anything about it, it's fine. And she began cheating on me, and we broke up, and it was fine. It was an abusive relationship anyway, where she was actually beating me. But that's a subject to stay in the vault. But so I went to therapy, and 5 years later, I finally decided, you know what? This is the best course of action, because not only was I diagnosed with gender identity disorder, the mental health condition that is what causes people to be transsexual people. I was like, you know what? Let's take the hormones. Let's see what happens. If I feel better, then that'd be great. If I don't, then I'll stop. So, I got on them around 2015, I think it was. And I was on them until 21 or 22, because they started wrecking my body. They were really, really killing my kidneys. And I also had a huge distrust for the pharmaceutical industry after the crap they pulled in 2020 and 2021. And I said, you know what? I don't want to be dependent on these darn pills anymore. So I stopped taking them. But I still look female to 98% of the people that I run across. So I don't get upset when someone calls me sir. I don't get upset if people, are jerks towards me. I just know that there's multiple realities, and some people see me one way and some people see me another. So why am I going to get upset at people for something that I can't control and that they can't control? So I don't identify with the LGBT WTF community anymore, and I don't identify with the left at all anymore. And as a matter of fact, I left the LGBT WTF party a long time before 2020 even happened. It was like, I don't know, 2016 or 17. I went to a Pride parade, and it was literally just disgusting, men walking around in thongs with children around, and it really turned me off. And I was like, I don't want anything to do with this stuff. Like, this is not okay. So, it was a lot worse than that, and I'm just talking the tip of the iceberg here. And I'm not judging anyone by their decisions. I'm just saying it was not for me. I wanted out. So I stopped attending things like that. I stopped identifying with that community. I stopped identifying as trans. I started identifying as transsexual, because that's truly what I am. I'm not trans and I'm not transgender. I am a transsexual, because I literally changed my body. And I knew going into it, it was a social an experiment for myself to see if it would make me feel better. And it did. I am one of the success stories, because I truly 100% actually had the condition that we were, that going on hormones was supposed to cure. And with the past 8 years, with the push towards transing children and getting everyone on hormones and stuff like that, I know that's bullshit, because there's literally like a 0.0000001% of the population who actually has this condition. And I know that children can't make up their mind on whether or not they are one thing or another, because they would identify with dinosaurs or, you know, like woolly mammoths or some other, you know, bullshit that like just doesn't matter, or that is literally impossible. And children are so, you know, easily programmed that, and they're just so, you know, their inner child never died because they're still children. So they'll agree to anything that you cheer to. So of course they're gonna go along with it because they think it's okay, because you're making it sound like so awesome and fun. And really, it's destroyed a lot of people's lives. So I'm against all of the malarkey lately with, you know, the trans culture. Even on my Twitter, I used to fight that stuff when it was a big deal. You know, I made a post talking about exactly what I'm talking about right now. And I was honest. And I said, look, this is not okay. Y'all need to stop. You need to stop supporting this. And yes, more of my beliefs are more aligned to the right. I'm more conservative. And being in Florida is an absolute fever dream for me because it's almost like a conservative paradise. And, you know, it's been quite wonderful here, and I want to keep it red. I don't want any blue state bullshit coming here, because I don't support any of that blue state crap. You know, I don't support, you know, illegal aliens. I don't support cheating in elections. I don't support the LGBT WTF. I don't support any of this crap that the so-called Democrats support. Besides, we've never been a democracy. We've always been a republic. So when they're talking about democracy, democracy is not anything real. It's a bullshit lie. And socialism is the same thing as communism. And in socialism / communism, everybody loses except for, you know, pretty much everybody loses. So I don't support that either. You know, look at what's going on in New York City. You know, Mamdani is literally fucking everything up to all to hell, and people are regretting what they voted for. Or he cheated, and they're, you know, it's you know, exposing what they, you know, what would happen to the rest of the country. You know, but I the whole point of this is I don't support any of that stuff, and I transitioned long before any of this became a mainstream subject. Like, I remember when I was first starting out in, you know, rural areas, and I was in between genders, and people, I was actually afraid for my life, because back then people would actually harm you for it. And, you know, it was a different time. It was only about a decade ago. And now we're at the point now where everybody is the trans police, and they're trying to, you know, find anyone and everyone they can to out, when I'm open about it. I just don't talk about it in every video because it's not my identity. It's not anything I care about. You know, it's something that I'm open about talking about. If somebody wants to talk about it or needs to hear my testimony, but it's not something that I want to bring up because it's not something I think about, you know? So when you've got people out here who are purposely just trying to attack people just to make themselves feel better and be like, ooh, I discovered your secret. Well, bro, for me, it was never a secret. You know, congratulations, you won the obvious award. You know, like, I mean, it's not just with people like me. You know, like, yes, there are a few of us. Like, I know of myself. You've got Buck Angel and you've got Blair White. There might be others, but those are the few that I know that are actually in the 0.0000001%. And, you know, that's 3 of us out of 8.5 billion people that I know of that are truly, you know, transsexual people who were diagnosed with gender identity disorder. So, you know, sure, there's probably more, but there's just, it's such a small fragment of the population. And then in order to do a color revolution, they do this in every time they try to do regime change, the Democratic Party. They do this in other countries. They try to trans the whole population so it'll destroy birth numbers, and, you know, you stop having babies and then their whole corrupt civilization can take over. So, yes, there are people who have transitioned that are actually on the right, and they are conservative, and they are fighting the system and fighting against the Democratic Party for what we believe in. So it's just like when it comes to how do I put this? The Jewish population. I guess that's the best way to say that without getting flagged. Not all of them are part of the Z group, if you know what I mean. Not all of them are involved in all of these horrendous crimes against humanity. It's the same thing with people in the Islamic religion. Not every single one of them is evil either. For example, only about like 3% of Iran is part of the Islamic extremists. So that means that 97% of the rest of the country, for example, Iran, are innocent people. Same thing with the Jewish population. Most of them are innocent people. Same thing with any population. You have your extremists and you have your crazies and your lunatics in each and every single civilization. So, and we all have a past. You know, I've already told you part of mine. And, you know, you might also have a past. You might have done something in the past that is frowned upon today. Like, I think in 15 years, maybe 20 years from now, people might frown upon those of us with tattoos. I don't have that many, but, you know, it's becoming something that's taboo again, where people don't want that, and people are going to judge tattooed people. And, you know, I'm just trying to state that we really, really need to stop judging everybody by the way that they look, the way that they dress, the way that they identify with God and their relationship with their Creator. You know, there are evil entities out there, and there are evil sects in each and every group of people. But that does not mean that every single person who looks that way or acts that way or, you know, identifies as a certain religion or what have you, it doesn't mean that each and every single one of them is a bad person, or that they're involved in whatever that, the minority group in that sect is involved with. So the lesson I want you to take away from this is, please stop judging people based on how they look, because you never know what they're actually, who they actually are. You don't know whether or not you're actually judging someone who's on your own team. Or, like, people come here judging me and being like, oh, well, you're one of them. Do you watch my videos, or are you just looking at my photo? Like, or are you just trying to out me for, even though I'm already out? Like, it's just really dumb, and it hurts the team, because we don't need to be at each other's throats. We need to be a unifying force right now. We need to unify together, and if we're going to defeat the big monster in front of us, we need each hand we can possibly get on deck. So instead of fighting each other, we just need to be fighting the enemy within. And it doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter what you've done in your past, it doesn't matter who you identify with when it comes to gender, it doesn't matter any of those arbitrary things, because our bodies don't really matter, they're just vessels. So we need to be kind to one another, we need to be loving towards one another, especially if you're going to treat someone with hate. How do you expect that person to come back and choose God or the Creator or the universe? How do you expect someone, if you're over here preaching love and kindness, but then you're going to judge somebody for being a certain kind of way that you don't agree with, then people are going to be turned off from whatever you're trying to say. And so I practice what I preach. I'm kind to everybody. I smile at everyone that walks past me. I try to help others when they're in need. I do what I say. So, that's why I'm making this message, is because I get judged a lot. Because I made a decision, over a decade ago to do what I felt was right for me. And guess what? It was. But it's not for like 99% of people. So I don't advocate for that. I don't advocate at all for that community. I just want a better world again. I want a safer world again. I want to see America be great again. And I know it's possible. I know that we can have America be great again. We just have to unite. No matter what side we're on, no matter what we look like, no matter what religion we are part of. I'm not part of any. I think religion is BS. But, it's just full of man-made rules and books written by men that were easily manipulated over enough amount of time. And so I don't go to church, I don't do any of that, but being out here in nature is my church. I feel a lot more closer to God out here at the park than I do in a building, in a sterilized building, listening to sterilized music with people who pretend they're perfect when right after church they go on and they start quote unquote sinning again. I don't want to be in a place like that. I want to be out here in nature where everything is actually perfect. God made all the trees and the grass and sure, he didn't make this mountain in front of me. We did that, but there's so much beautiful nature out here with the birds and the gators and the fish and the clouds. That's actually kind of interesting. I don't know if that's going to pick up on camera, but that looks like a rainbow in that cloud. Same with over here. I can barely see the screen. So, you know, God even made the rainbow clouds. And all of these trees and brush, and He made you and me. And I'm saying He just because most people identify it as a male. I see it more as both. Came across some information a while back where essentially it's both. But I could be wrong. But anyway, so please just stop fighting with each other. Please start treating each other more with kindness, love, and respect. And stop with all the division. We're not football teams or baseball teams. We're human beings. And we need to unite with one another if we want to defeat this enemy. You know, many of you might not know what I'm talking about. Some of you do. I don't like, you know what, I want to record that again. That's so wild. I can see rainbows in all of that. In all of the cloud. Interesting. It's hot out. I can't really see my screen anymore. But I want to see us unite against this cloaked enemy that is trying to take over the world and trying to completely enslave everybody. You know, there's still people right now who are free because they don't have debt, or they're not, a slave to their job, to their paycheck. But if we don't unite and the enemy succeeds, it'll be like a Black Mirror episode where we have to stay within 15 minutes of where we live, and we have to be on best behavior in order to have a car or have access to food or money. Similar to China's credit system, social credit system, it would be in the entire world. And, you know, for example, me living here in Florida, I'm 10 hours away from my family, meaning I would never be able to go home. I'd never be able to see my family again. So we need to unite with each other, and we need to stop fighting, and we need to eventually, when the time is right, we need to let our governments know that we're not going to take it anymore. I'm not calling for any violence or anything like that. I'm just stating that at some point we're going to need each other to have our V for Vendetta moment, where at the end of the movie you see everyone in their Guy Fawkes masks, and they're all standing outside Parliament watching it burn. That is what I'm talking about. One day we all need to step up and just peacefully let our government know that we're not going to take it anymore. And in order to do that, we need to stop fighting with each other. We need to stop judging each other by our body's looks. Because again, we are not our bodies, we are our soul that is encapsulated by our vessel, which is the human body. So we need to start seeing each other as souls again, and not just what our body looks like, or what we've, decided to decorate our body like, or white or black or brown or yellow. It doesn't matter. We are all human. We are all one race. So we need to stop. Just stop. Just start getting along. Just start with one small step. Smile at somebody. That's it. Just smile. And if you start smiling at every single person you meet, eventually you'll feel more comfortable with the diversity that we actually are as human beings. I'm not saying that, I want to continue illegal immigration or anything like that. I'm just saying that we need to start being kind. And if they're extremists, then that's when we might need to protect ourselves. But unless that happens, then we respond in peace and love and kindness. And that's something I believe that we can all get behind, and that we all need to get behind, because it's just getting to the point where there's division and hatred for absolutely no reason. And we forget that everyone has a past, and that we've all made decisions that we may or may not be happy about. Do I regret transitioning? No. I learned so much stuff. I've been able to live a male life and a female life in the same life. And I was able to heal my divine feminine. I was able to, through this experience, I was able to awaken to who I really am as a person. And, as, my soul. And I've been able to be my best self. And for a period of time, I was able to see, I was in with the liberal crowd, and I was able to see just how extreme things were getting. And I wouldn't have seen that if I wasn't part of that community. Though I think it's funny how they knew things were corrupt back then. They were the ones that told me, like, Nestle is an evil corporation and things like that. And they didn't use disposable menstrual products. They didn't use disposable diapers. They did everything with rewashable fabric stuff. And they were they were left-leaning people. Like, they were, the second I started supporting Trump and what he was doing in his first term, they all turned on me and they stopped talking to me. It's funny because it's the people that they support that are actually causing all the evil and all the atrocities in the world. It's on both sides, but it's just funny to me how oblivious they were to their own side. And you could just see where a lot of people are losing their humanity today by following what the news has to say or the left has to say. And it's really sad, but it's the reality of this world. But again, if we unite, we start treating each other with kindness and love and respect again, this whole world will change and be a much better place a lot sooner than later. Which is why I like to make these videos. And I want to remind the world that we need to be kind and respectful and loving towards one another, and we need to be good humans to one another again and regain our humanity. We're not evil creatures. We're all creatures of that are meant to be communal. We're meant to have communities. We're meant to have friends. We're meant to have outdoor activities, and we're meant to have colorful things and creative ventures and all of these wonderful things. And the systems of control are trying to take those things away from us and pitting us against one another to make it happen faster. So I implore you, hi there, I implore you to please start being more kind to your neighbors. Please be more kind to strangers you see. Please be more kind to everybody that you run across. Because number one, you don't know what they're going through. Sometimes just one little smile could save somebody's life. You know, somebody might have woke up that morning and said, man, I don't want to live anymore. But if somebody smiles at me today, I'll know that I'm worth living and staying alive for. So I think about that and I decide I want to smile at people no matter what. I want to make sure they feel seen and that they feel loved and cared about. Even if it's something as simple as a 2-second smile, it could really literally change someone's life. And then if you want to go even deeper than that, you can. But, you know, for right now, I just want you to remember that. Hi, little yellow jacket. Ooh, that seat's hot. Ooh. But for now, I just want you to remember that we're all the same. We're all humans, and we're all sons and daughters of the Creator. Whether you want to believe that or not, or whether you want that to be true or not, or whether you just want to keep living in hatred. Either way, we are still sons and daughters of the Creator. Meaning that we are all connected. We are all one. We are one with each other. Meaning, when you treat someone else like crap, you're literally treating yourself like crap. I mean, it might not feel that way in the moment, but you'll actually come to realize that, you know, that the way you treat other people actually does come back to you. Karma is a real thing, and she will come back and bite you in the butt. So, you know, I strive to put kindness and positivity and love and respect out into the world, because that's the kind of world I want to live in. I want to live in that kind of world where I'm treated with kindness and positivity and respect. And guess what? I do. I have cultivated such a positive reality that I hardly ever run into anybody who is mean to me. Yeah, of course, you're going to get comments online from people, which is kind of what prompted this message. But there are going to be people out there who are negative and who want to talk trash and they want to troll because they have nothing better to do with their time. And because they don't realize that there's someone out there who cares about them, and they don't realize that by trolling other people, it's only going to make other people treat them just as bad, if not worse. So the moral of the story is treat people with kindness, because number one, you don't know what they're going through. And number two, you don't know their past. And it takes zero money to be kind. It also takes zero money to be a jerk. But wouldn't you rather be a kind person and, you know, for example, help a stranger in need, or you know, help a bird if it needs it, or, you know what I'm saying? Wouldn't you rather be the kind of person who's out here helping people and not being a jerk towards people? So I know I certainly would, and that's why I don't really have a lot of problems in my life. You know, I run into so many kind, respectful people because that's what I put out. No matter where I go, I'm running into nice people of all walks of life. It doesn't matter if they're white or black or Asian or Indian or Hispanic. It does not matter. I will treat you with kindness, love, and respect as long as you do the same toward me. And even when you do treat me like crap, it might take a while for me to actually get to the point where I'm going to respond and tell you to F off. But I will eventually if I need to. So please, again, just start treating each other with love and kindness and respect. It doesn't take much. It just takes a smile or a kind hello. Okay? I went to zoom in on a bird. There it is. But if you've made it this far into the video, I want to say thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate you. This wound up being a lot longer than I thought it would be. But, you know, the universe, the creator, you know, must have had me want to talk about all this stuff. So I want to say thank you again. And I also want to say a big message to you. I want to say thank you to you and let you know that you matter. You 100% matter. You. Yes, I'm talking to you. Even if you're a troll and you're a jerk, you matter, and I love you because I know you are me and I am you. And with that knowledge, I can be a lot more nice to people and put up with their crap a lot more. So I love you no matter what, and I care about you, and I want to know that for taking a step of being more kind, I am proud of you. If you only just got out of bed today, I'm proud of you. If you decided not to be a troll anymore, I am proud of you. If you took this message to heart and you want to treat people more with kindness, love, and respect, I am proud of you. And I want to let you know that you are worthy of whatever you want in this life, as long as it's for the greater good, for yourself and for humanity. And I want you to know that you deserve kindness, you deserve love, you deserve respect, and you deserve someone to care about you, which frankly, I think that's why a lot of trolls are the way they are, is because they weren't ever cared about. And the way their parents showed them love was by being jerks to them, so now they're being jerks to other people. So I care about you even if you're an asshole, and even if you're a troll, even if you just want to make the world a worse place. I still care about you and I still love you. I still wish the best for you. I still want you to have your best life and live your best life. So one last time, please go out there, be more kind, be more caring, be more respectful, and let's make the world a better place, and let's make it a world that we would prefer to live in, as opposed to a world where it's miserable and suffocating and we don't want to be part of it. So thank you again, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. I was wondering where my ducky friend was. Here he is. I guess he lost his partner, and that makes me really sad. But shout out to the grounds crew here at Dyer Park. They'll probably never see this, but they are always working so hard to make sure this place is clean and fresh, and you know, whether it's power washing and doing the landscaping, it's always immaculate here. Great job, West Palm Beach Dyer Park crew. I was fixing to leave and I noticed there was a bunch of basketballs sitting here. It says free on the bags, so I grabbed a ball. Most of them were flat. I haven't shot baskets in a while, so I figured, let's see what happens. I won't even know what this footage looks like, but this one needs more air too. But... Oh. It's been a while. Part of me wants to keep this ball too, mainly because I can still play with it without a